Hello everyone and welcome to LEGO Star Wars Hot Takes episode 18. As always, if you have any hot takes or controversial opinions about LEGO Star Wars that you want me to discuss in next week's video, make sure to go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Anyways, hopping right into it, starting off with V Engineer. He says, hot take, the UCS Venator doesn't need an interior as it's a pure display set, and an interior would just look out of place since it's nowhere near minifigure scale. It could also potentially compromise the design of it, since we've seen how off the original playscale Venator looks since they made room for the interior. Not to mention that LEGO would probably up the price on it significantly. And I am so happy that someone is finally pointing this out. In the midst of almost everyone in the community complaining that the set does not include an interior, someone actually was logical and pointed out why it doesn't have an interior and why it doesn't even need an interior. Although I do have to say that what you said about it compromising the design like it did on the older Venator, that would just not happen, because in the back there is room for minifigures to stand up and everything. Although still, with everything else you said, it would just not work. It would look out of place. In Solid Brick Studios' most recent interview with the LEGO Star Wars design team, which is a very good video that I recommend all of you go check out, they talk about how one, it would just be impossible to include the hangar bay because the middle spine does go right through where the hangar bay would be, and that is very crucial for the set's structural integrity. And also they said if they included an interior in the back, it would have significantly bumped up the piece count, which would obviously bump up the price point. And it wouldn't just be a few extra pieces, it would be hundreds and hundreds of extra pieces to make an interior back there, and it most likely would have bumped the set up to well over $700, maybe even $800. Another thing they also pointed out is that it would affect the actual flow of the build when you are building it, which is something that I found very interesting. I've never really thought about this before, but basically they said there is room for an interior in there. However, with the way that the frame is built and then how the panels are put on, it would actually be very hard to find a good point in the build process to actually fit an interior inside in the easiest way. And hopefully this is the last time that I have to talk about this, because it's really annoying to me how people keep complaining about this set not having an interior, as it is purely a display piece. I mean, I get you could be a little sad that it doesn't have a miniature hangar bay, although an interior for minifigures just does not belong on this set. No Sequa, I honestly have no idea how to even begin to pronounce your name. Anyways, he says, hot take, Clone Wars fans are ruining LEGO Star Wars. They complain and want everything LEGO Star Wars to be related to clones. Now, this is a bit of a tricky topic to talk about. However, I will try my best to provide my insight on this. So basically, I do have to say that out of all of the LEGO Star Wars sets that are currently being released either from this year or last year, it really seems that LEGO is just not putting as much effort into the Clone Wars era set, or they're just not as up to par as all of these sets from the other eras like Ahsoka or the Imperial era. Because I mean, this year in 2023, besides the price points, all the sets that we got from either Ahsoka or the Imperial era have almost been pretty much perfect. I mean, they have super high quality builds with very nice minifigures. Like, you have the Ghost with a perfect build and an incredible minifigure lineup, and then you have both of the Versus sets, including the TIE Fighter and Mandalorian Fang Fighter, which is almost a perfect set as well, and then the E-Wing versus Shin Hati Starfighter. I mean, the sets this year that came from non-Clone Wars eras were really up to par with our expectations, although it just seems like with the Clone Wars sets, LEGO is kind of taking a step down. And I mean, it's not really even a problem with the builds themselves, it's mainly just a problem with the actual clone troopers, specifically clone troopers like the newest Captain Rex and then the Commander Fox, where the Captain Rex obviously should have had a physical waist cape, and then with the Commander Fox just having very sloppy printing and being one of the worst looking clone troopers I've ever seen. It's just disappointing to see minifigures that we've waited so long for just not get that much effort put into them. So it might just seem like we're complaining all the time, but really it feels like LEGO is not putting as much effort into the Clone Wars sets as they are into sets from other eras. Now, you could say that Clone Wars fans' expectations were too high due to us waiting so long for new Clone Wars sets. However, regardless, it does seem like the Clone Wars sets, specifically the actual Clone Trooper minifigures, just have more problems than minifigures and sets from other eras. Julia Juana Alvarez says, hot take, UCS sets are overrated. They are amazing on display, but that's it. Take the UCS Imperial Star Destroyer. It looks amazing on display, but has no play value, no exciting figures, and a pretty repetitive build. Play sets may not look as detailed, but are better in all the other ways. More fun to build, better in minifig selection, more playability, and for LEGO mainly being a toy, that's more important. Now, I've seen this comment a few times on my videos, and I'm just gonna finally answer it now, and I have to say that is not a very reasonable argument at all. UCS sets are clearly display sets that are not meant for play, so why would you complain that a product doesn't do something that it's not meant to do? Now, there are exceptions, like for minifigure scale vehicles where they do have interiors. However, for sets like the Star Destroyer or the Venator, they are literally meant to sit on a shelf or sit in a glass case and look cool. And yes, playsets usually include a bigger variety of minifigures. However, that doesn't make the minifigures in UCS sets boring at all, as they're usually the highest quality minifigures that we get, as they have arm printing and usually the most accurate accurate detail all over. I mean, I just don't get this argument. It's a UCS set that is literally made for adults. Complaining that it's not a playset made for kids is just kind of ridiculous. Yes, LEGO originally was intended to be a kid's toy, however, that does not mean that the company cannot evolve into something more. Is the pizza for you and me, says, hot take, I'm tired of so many people asking for specific LEGO Star Wars sets. One of my favorite things was looking through catalogs twice a year and finding out what LEGO made by themselves. I think we should let LEGO be LEGO. And you know, I pretty much agree with you. Yeah, I really do miss getting the LEGO Christmas catalogs as a kid and seeing which new LEGO Star Wars sets they had made. I remember I always used to spend so much time looking at sets like the 2007 MTT or the Republic Dropship in the catalog. It was always just so fun to see which sets LEGO had made that year, and then every now and then I would see some LEGO Star Wars commercials, and it really was a fun time to see what LEGO had come up with. And as much as I love that era of LEGO and LEGO Star Wars, it's probably most likely never going to come back due to the age of social media, and I mean that's not a bad thing, as LEGO Star Wars would not be near as big as it is without social media, but the downside is that the era of looking at new sets and catalogs just had to be left behind, as nowadays when word of a new LEGO Star Wars sets comes out, it gets around so quickly. There are even so many news accounts that post LEGO Star Wars rumors that get thousands and thousands of likes and so much attention. The idea of us finding out what's new in a LEGO catalog is just long gone. But I mean, also this is a good thing for LEGO as well, as for a company it is very important for them to see feedback on their products, and before social media got popular this was pretty hard for them to do. And this is actually another topic that the LEGO Star Wars design team talked about in Solidberg Studios interview video that again you guys all need to go ahead and watch. I mean, sadly we don't get to see what's new from LEGO Star Wars commercials or catalogs anymore, although on the upside, which I think outweighs the downside, is that the community has grown so much more and LEGO gets plenty of feedback. GTX Programmer says, hot take, the year 2013 is overrated. The only good set is the gunship and everything else was terrible or just to complete the wave in the year. Now I've seen a lot of people saying that the gunship was the only good set to release in 2013, and man, that is just so far from the truth. The year opened with the 501st ATRT and then the Z95 Headhunter, which I ranked in the top 10 Clone Wars sets of all time, as well as a very underrated set in my opinion, which is the Umbar and MHC, and then the UCS X-Wing and the Corporate Alliance Tank Droid, and not to mention the ATTE that was paired with the gunship, and then the Ewok Village, and then the Old Republic Jedi Cruiser. The list just goes on and on and on. Saying this year is overrated and then going so far to say the gunship was the only good set is just disrespectful. Keeping on with the topic of years, Airman says, hot take, 2019 was the best year of LEGO Star Wars. And sadly, no it wasn't. I mean, obviously this is a matter of opinion, but I don't think it was. It was a good year, don't get me wrong. There were a lot of good sets that came out that year, like the ATAP, the UCS Star Destroyer, the Master Builders Stand-Up 4, and then of course the 20th anniversary sets, which are all very good, although there were quite a few filler sets that year, and that was also the year that introduced the 4+ sets with the 4+ X-Wing Fighter and the 4+ TIE Fighter, and also that was the year that LEGO introduced those weird Target sets that we'd all kind of like to forget about. So like I said, 2019 definitely had some good sets, although I would never dare to say it was the best year of LEGO Star Wars. I still strongly think that 2014 holds that spot. Anyways guys, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. As always, if you have any hot takes or controversial opinions about LEGO Star Wars, make sure to go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the end screen right now.